Up next on Inside Champ Car, racing at Pitt Race. Welcome to Inside Champ Car. I'm Brian Belansky. Guy above me, that's Bill Strong. I don't know why I'm in such a good mood, Bill. I'm doing a little chair dancing here.
Are you jet laggy?
I must be.
The jet setting Brian Belansky.
I think my face is still filled up with pollen. It's been a rough couple days.
We're running off somewhere.
My allergies remind me why I'm happy I no longer live in Wisconsin.
There's no allergies in the fall in
Yes, there are. When the wind's blowing and the dust is in the air, I have dust allergies. So
yeah, we don't allow champ cars to go off-roading anymore, so we don't have to do that.
Maybe we should try that. So. Anyway, our guest tonight, Ben Schaut. I hope I pronounced that right. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome.
Good evening, guys.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we start every episode with the same question, Ben. How did you get mixed up in this crazy sport that we love?
Oh, that's a tough one. Actually, sort of a interesting story on that. We were having a family Christmas time at my sister's house, and I think that my brother-in-law had been seeing these chump car ads in Grassroots and sort of brought it up as a, hey guys, what do you think of this? This seems pretty cool. I've been around racing all my life. My dad raced as I was growing up. I got into it as soon as I could, did a bunch of SCCA stuff, and was sort of in flux between spec Miata stuff and what to do next. And it looked like a great idea to do this endurance racing thing. So we talked about it, and between my dad, my brother, a couple of our spec Miata buddies, we sort of decided to build a car, and our very first event was Nelson Ledges 25-25-25.
Nice.
And so, yeah, that was the start of this grand adventure.
Cool.
That was one wicked race.
Yeah, I think we broke everything we could on that car. We were down to, I think, one gear. I think we had fourth gear at the end of the race, maybe first. Fifth was long gone. Went from 2 sway bars to 1 sway bar to no sway bars. Went from a limited slip to an open to a lock diff. No exhaust on the car at the end of the race. It was a great time. I think we only broke 2 hubs that race, maybe just 1, but
wow.
Yeah, we broke a lot of stuff. It was a great learning experience.
That was in when was that? 2011?
That sounds appropriate, yeah.
I think we ran that with with one of our other MR2s. Can't remember. That was a long time ago. No, that was 2012. October 6, 2012, I ran it. That's the one we were talking earlier. That's the one I blew up my engine at. So we finished 24th overall with a blown engine. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. But a good race. It was I think that might have been one of the last races. That was the second to last race that we did at Nelson Ledges before the rebuild, before they repaved it. And then we went back and others set all kinds of records for speed at that track. All right, so Pittsburgh this past weekend, you're driving an E36.
Yeah, that's correct. 93-ish.
Yep. You were in second place running for the Midwest Championship, which included 2 races at Nelson Ledges, 2 races at Mid-Ohio, and the 2 races at Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Now, Pittsburgh, well, actually, all the races had a pretty stacked field with Salins and a few other guys showing up, Bank and those guys.
Yep.
And this past weekend, the score was anybody could have won it. And you guys were in the hunt. Did you guys have any problems here at Pittsburgh on Saturday?
Not really any problems. Maybe we could have done a little bit better with the strategy. We did get a early release from pit penalty. For some reason, our Flagtronics started the timer over when I went out for that last stint, and we had to serve a little drive through there. And I think the penalty to actual offset was a little off, but it was would have been really close with the 944, whether or not we could have actually gotten around in time to get that one last lap to make a change of position. But otherwise, it was a pretty clean race for us. And that was really the goal for the weekend. Looking at the field, I looked at the entry list and like, I'm going to be really happy if we can make it in the top 10 on both of these days here. And also looking at the points, it's like it's going to be a real stretch to get up to first. Something needs to happen non-favorable for the other team, but we had a solid chance of maintaining the second place. So just run clean, run strong, and keep it on track, get as many laps in as we could, and top 10 finish was going to be enough. So managing sixth place on Saturday and then following up with a third place on Sunday was spectacular.
So what was the difference between Saturday and Sunday? Did you guys do anything different?
We didn't really do anything different on our side. I flipped the driver order around, and we did talk a little bit about what to do with strategy, and knowing how the track did the purple 35s on Saturday, it's like we really wanted to capitalize as much as possible. So I wanted to give us a really big set of windows for using or being able to get those purple 35s. So I will say, since I was in the car first, that when I saw that car stalled on the side of the road and I looked at the clock in the car and I saw it was 10:15, I'm like, dang it, the pit window's open. I know I'm going to have to pit now, and I'm having so much fun out here.
Yeah.
It was a little sad, but of course, we got to go with the strategy call, and so we did what we could there, and I think that move right there was one of the things that helped keep us a little bit closer to the front of the field. So,
well, it's funny because you're talking about the Code 35s. I'm not running the race. That's Andy. And there was a couple of times when I said, can we do a hot pull? Can we do a hot pull? I'd say it quietly, but they could hear me. And the resounding was, no, we're not going to do that. So we tried. We did try.
Yeah, I agree with the purple 35 for a lot of situations. It's very useful. It makes it a lot safer for crews to be able to get certain vehicles or, in certain situations. But other times I feel like it is a little overused, and has definitely changed strategy of the race. With the purple 35 versus the local or full course caution type thing, it really turns it into a lot of just sprints between the purple 35. So you end up pushing the car a lot harder throughout the whole day, just trying to maximize that track time, since the purple 35s definitely changed the strategy.
So I was watching Salen's and walking up and down pit lane during my small break I got. And they have their little toolbox with the TVs and everything in it and telemetry and all that stuff. And they basically had it focused on the log, the marching ants, and their fuel pressure or fuel usage. I think it is. It's, however many liters they're using per hour. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, because they're just they know what the cars are going to do. They're either going to, if they blow up, they're done. Doesn't matter what, but they're watching that fuel usage and then watching the ants, looking for a yellow flag to come up somewhere that doesn't get reported down pit lane. And then watching for what we put in the log. We may be leading, when I didn't do the log this weekend, Andy did. So maybe you look for, maybe the race director will type something in, and it kind of does the same thing every time we go to code 35. So you kind of get a hint that, hey, we might be going code 35. So get yourself in a position to do your pit stop. Is that what you kind of do?
More or less. I mean, we go through with the driver going in, at a certain time is when we'll open up our pit window, where we think that it can be advantageous for us. And then we rely heavily on the driver to feedback anything of when a car is off or there's something on the track, whatever. It's like, how serious is it? It's like, give us some feedback. Is it just a spin and the car's off? Or is it one that looks like they have stalled or, dropped oil all over the place or something like that? So we try to work with the driver to get the feedback, to get an idea. Is this one going to be long enough for a purple 35? Is it worth trying to pit now? can we stay out on track for a couple laps before coming in and still get the full 5-minute pit stop done in a purple 35? So there's a lot of little adjustments that can be made. And we do a lot of just talking with the driver, trying to see what the situation is out on track.
Now, you mentioned that the Purple 35, Code 35, has changed your strategy to some extent. How so?
It ends up being where there's been a few races, it makes it more viable on the 8-hour race to do an extra pit stop. That never used to be the case with just the regular full course cautions, or even some of the early Purple 35 were just sort of mixed in here and there, where it still didn't make sense to make that extra stop. But with the Purple 35, because of how long it takes, like at Pitt Race, Purple 35 lap was 4 minutes and 34 seconds. That's what we were getting out of it. So, I mean, that is you can get in for a pit stop, and a car that you're right ahead of will be about 30 seconds ahead of you down the road when you get back out. So you're only losing that one lap versus 2 to 3 during a green flag stop, or even like a locally yellow type thing. Instead of slowing down to 4:30 something for a lap under a purple 30 or under a full course, it may be even somewhere in the 4-minute range. But a local yellow, if they do a hot pull, instead of a 2:05, it would be a 2:15 lap. So it really changes how we can actually utilize those slowdowns.
So it changes it in so much as that you'd rather it's not Purple 35 versus full course yellow traditionally. It's Purple 35 versus a hot pull is how it changes strategy.
Yeah, more so that way.
Got it. Okay, that's what I was. Yeah. My small brain wasn't conceptualizing that. So cool.
And one of the other aspects of that is, with the Purple 35, it's maintaining everybody's position on track. Full course, even local stuff, they tend to pack up a little bit. So, I mean, I've been on both ends under a full course or a pace car where I get benefit, and I get sort of hurt by that, depending on where the lead car is and where the pace car picks up. Yeah, and that stuff sort of goes away a little bit as well.
So one of the things I was watching during the Code 35s was making certain that teams weren't slowing down, going a little under, because we get that complaint, cars are stacking up behind them, or, which is kind of the first time I've seen this, maybe a car that's in the top 10 that slows down enough to try to get a clear track so it can get a run on the field. And that's something I saw, and we put a stop to that pretty quick. So that's kind of what's cool about the Code 35. Our track director softwares, we're able to watch for things like that now. It lets us know if they're over or under, and and if too much of a space is opening up between, let's say, the leader and the car in front of them, so he can try and get a run. Clear track makes things fast. So
I noticed a few Purple 35s where there seemed to be a few extra pace cars out there that really shouldn't have been there, and gaps sort of forming in between, and cars stacking up. And I've had my drivers out there on the radio saying, it's like, what's going on? Why aren't these guys going 35? We're supposed to be going 35. What do I do? It's like, well, don't go over 35, and you have to stay behind them because it's still caution. So
right.
It works so much better when everybody actually does the 35. I think one of my drivers was talking to one of the teams that seemed to be moving a little slow sometimes. And I don't think were aware that the Flagtronics flashes slow at you when you're going too fast. And, their speedometer may not have been working right or whatever, different size tires. So they were guessing. They were guessing like 5 miles an hour slow.
Right.
So it's sort of like an epiphany for them. It's like, oh, I can get up to that. What I do in my car is one of the RPM lights that I have shows the RPMs in increments of 10. So I know at what 10 RPM it goes from flashing at me and being okay. So I try to stay like right within the 20 below that to that number and try to bounce it right through that area. So just tricks that people can use to try to stay with that 35.
So there was a team that contacted one of the marshals to say, hey, Flagtronics, how fast is this team going? They want to know. And I can see a live miles. It updates every so many seconds, but I can see it. And it's like, dude, they're doing 29. They need to pick it up. And okay, how about now? Perfect. Just keep it right there.
Yeah.
30.
Bill, I know there's rules that you have on the high end of 35. You can go a mile or two over. You guys give them a little bit of wiggle room. Is there anything in the rules to say you can't go 25 under a purple 35?
It's sort of an unwritten racer's etiquette rule, but you also have to be aware that there may be an issue out on track that precludes you from doing 35, that
Right.
you may not want to do 35 miles an hour around an incident.
Sure.
This weekend, we had a car that 12 minutes into Sunday's race blew an engine as he went over a hill. And as he went over, the engine oil hit the rear tire mid-corner, and he pirouetted around the track. As the slow motion of that video was insanely awesome because you just saw this huge amount of oil just pirouette in a big circular
Right.
across the whole track. Did your driver go through that oil?
That was me driving that one.
Oh, okay. What was that like?
So
We
I
didn't know-
saw the yellow and
Wait. We didn't know that it was oil. At first we thought, because it came out of the front of the engine, we thought it might have been coolant. And then, we saw the VW go through there, that little Fun Cup car, and he was basically sideways. And that was this is more than what we really think it is.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I think that happened not too long before I arrived at the scene. And, when I saw coming through the S's, I could see the car parked, and I saw it, like, they had the debris flag out, and, like, as soon as I came around, like, oh, that is oil and a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I went fully inside. So I put 2 in the grass on the inside of I think it'd probably be turn 8 there. Just basically where it all started, just to try to avoid and not get my tires on the oil at all. So
yeah, that looked pretty scary because the corner worker said they're not slowing down, and we said they can't.
Yeah.
They're crossing the hill and they're accelerating, and that's why we kind of had to go red flag, because it was there was no way we could get you guys through that without maybe causing some issues. So it was
there's basically there was no path through the 8 to 9 that didn't involve crossing oil.
Yeah,
Unless everybody went through and were putting 2 wheels in the grass on the inside and knew where to be. So it's understandable. It needed some extra cleanup on that one.
Yeah. That took how much was that?
Bill has his magic log.
That was a lot of bags of oil dry.
9 bags of Speedy Dry.
Ooh.
Now I know other tracks that would have used 19 bags of Speedy Dry, but these guys are pretty good. Yeah, that was a lot of oil. Like I said, I don't have the video. That's something the track had. But
it should have been somewhere between 6 and 7 quarts.
Yeah, it was a lot. What was that car? That was a BMW.
E30.
E30, yeah.
And looking at how things were, and it's like, I think that they probably went off before and they came across the curb and flipped the oil pan and or just straddling the curb enough. If you drop the wheels inside too far down, then you can bust things up pretty good. So,
and I think next year they're allowing skid plates on these cars for no points, so that'll help out a lot. But that sucked.
Yeah, especially if you're underweight and adding ballast. It's nice to use part of that ballast as your skid plate.
Some of these guys put the car so low,
Right?
Because it's a race car. You know, you don't want a 4-wheeler out there.
I got you.
But it's Nick is talking about the 30-mile. Nick Schaut is talking about the 30-mile an hour during code 35, maybe creating a hazard. Many drivers can be permitted to pass these offenders under yellow, much like a white flag, slow-moving emergency vehicles. Well, you don't pass under yellow ever. That'll get you. We don't care why you passed, unless the car is like pulled off the track and visibly not working, then you can pass them. But when you under code 35, no passing. I think we had a couple of calls, maybe one call for that. Maybe I'm thinking of the last race. They all kind of run together.
Call me crazy, but if I've got a teammate in the lead and I'm a couple laps down, what's my incentive to not do the code 35 at 30?
So you're holding everybody up from your team, because we're watching that too. So that's something that we've discussed in the tower a few times.
Yeah.
Our teammates helping out. It's going to happen, I think. But we watch for things like that. We have the corner workers watching. I did ask them. I said, the corner workers, do you see any foul plays out there? And he asked a certain way without saying foul play, and the flag controller, and nothing was out of the ordinary. So, we can only go by what those guys say and what we're seeing on the monitors and Flagtronics. So
yeah,
didn't see anything there, but
I would hope that teams wouldn't do that. That's
No.
just just shenanigans.
Yeah. I would hope that teams wouldn't do that too, but shenanigans are some teams' expertise.
Yes.
Troy and I we had talked about stuff, jokingly talked about that stuff back in the early days. Would we
Jokingly.
slow somebody down or whatever? But
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't. It's just excuse my language, it's a Richard move, and I'm just done.
I love it.
Evan Horner, one of your drivers this weekend, he just joined. He's talking about the MOV, something like that. I don't know what he's talking about, but Evan, a pretty good driver.
Usually.
This weekend.
Usually. Well, that was confidence building. So,
Our trip
Evan,
to the
put on
track-
your earmuffs.
Yeah. No, he may have eaten something not quite right a day or two before the trip, and he actually flew into Detroit, and I picked him up, and it was the drive took a little bit longer than normal. We had to make a few stops. The
Okay.
truck still needs a bath.
Yeah, we had to do that with Troy one time going to Canada, the Great White North. Caliburki, you ever been there? It's like 100 hours from
I
Virginia.
have not made it up there yet. It's one that I've heard so many good things about. I'm hoping it'll get up there sometime. But
Great little
no,
track.
it's all part of just travel and racing. Sometimes things don't quite go as planned, but I don't know. It's one of the really cool things with what I've been doing with my team. I was looking at some of the stats earlier. For the last few years, I think I'm up to like 20 different drivers, and I've got people that run with me from local. Evan's out in Seattle area. A couple other teammates from this weekend, Eric and Sleal, are both out from Denver, Colorado area. I've got a guy from Arizona that's come out and raced with me before. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's sort of people from all over the place, and just show up and have fun on the weekend.
That's awesome. How do you vet those drivers who you've never raced with before they come and jump in the car for the first time?
There's only a couple that I hadn't actually really seen race before. But knowing what some of their background are in their racing stuff and how they've done, it sort of gives me a good enough feeling. And then, show them the list of the damage costs and everything usually helps out quite a bit too.
Yeah.
Just to keep them in check a little bit. But yeah, just about everybody I race with, I've at least seen running something somewhere along the way where I've actually gotten to witness them drive out on track. So it makes it pretty easy to decide who I want to ask and go from there.
So
Troy used to send the new drivers over to me. Hey, go race with Bill to see how they did, how they handled failure or whatever.
No, and I'll try when I can. I always try to do a test day in the car with the drivers so that they can at least get an experience with the car and get used to it and everything. So
yeah. Do with Bill or Ben, either one of you could answer this. Do teams require a damage deposit? Because I know a lot of arrive and drive folks on my side of things. You got to give them a check for $5,000 or whatever their number is, just in case. Is that something that happens often in Champ Car, or is it more on the honor scale?
I don't. So when I raced, which was a decade ago, I guess, nobody did. I mean, hardly anybody did that.
Okay.
If remember people doing that, if you wrecked it, most of the time we'd have it fixed by the next race, just hammered out or whatever, and we go racing. But nowadays, with these cars being a lot faster, the damage is going to be a lot bigger, and they're a lot lighter, so there's going to more damage to them. I'm hearing that people are asking for that, especially the arrive and drive teams.
Right.
They want some sort of security deposit or crash damage deposit. Yeah, it's something I never really thought of. I usually, would be, hey, don't go out there and wreck the car. Just don't be stupid. We're not going to be the fastest car out there, but we can win this race if we just take it easy.
Yeah.
But now, Ben, I mean, do you guys demand a deposit?
I mean, the whole program for me started with family, so it'd be
Yeah.
hey fam, sign
Exactly.
this damage waiver.
Yeah.
Not going to talk to you at Christmas if you crash the car. No, it's always been just we're a bunch of friends, bunch of people that like-mindedness of wanting to go out there and have fun, take care of the car best you can. Just expect that if you mess something up, that or the car gets messed up while you're driving on track, that you can be responsible for damages.
Yeah. Look at it.
So it's been more of just a word of just talking about it a little bit, no signing papers or anything like that.
Yeah, I did a paper contract, but it was basically just don't be an idiot and screw up my car. And if you do, just pay me for the damages. I mean, I had one guy that wrecked it twice, and he just wrote. I told him it's $300 to fix this. It cost me $500 to fix that, and they just sent me a check.
Okay.
I remember one race they wrecked. They hit the same. Every driver hit the same freaking pothole at Rosanna, and it was just this wheel was destroyed. It held air, but it was destroyed. I couldn't use it again. So I just split it off all ways for the driver. I have video, so that helped. And they each sent me a check for I think $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
To pay the wheel. But most of it was just to prove a point. It's like, stop doing things like that,
Looking at the chat, some people are saying several teams do require a deposit, and Team Infinity is one of them that does not. So hi to Clive and Money Shift and Evan Orner and Adrian Willoughby and Team Infinity, John Wittenauer, Timothy Elliott, of course. He's always. I wonder if he's got a bot that comes and joins us every Tuesday night.
He's my moderator.
Okay.
So yeah, he's my moderator.
It's a good list of people there. A lot of really good friends that I met along the way. So.
Yep.
And that's it, friends. You say that.
Yeah.
We've been doing this a long time, and I don't think I've ever met such a great group of people that race with us. Some of them can be difficult at times, but for the most part, almost everybody's so friendly and helpful, and we all have this passion for speed and in racing and endurance stuff, and we want those little things behind you, those trophies. That's what.
Yeah, back here.
Yeah. So, and
yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like basically I am just running my team with a bunch of friends these days. So there's only one person that's raced with me that I haven't met because of stuff within Champ Car.
Cool.
Or One Lap of America. It's one of those two things. It's the one guy that I know from just some running club stuff, whatever, that happens to really like cars and started doing SCCA racing. And I ended up talking to him and encouraged him to join up and try out. So he was with me at Nelson Ledges this year.
Nice.
So he was part of that team. But everybody else I've met through racing stuff, and the vast majority of the people that I run with that I now call friends are ones that I met through Champ Car itself. I mean, Evan, I know because of the sprint race that they held at Pitt Race so many years ago. Because Rob and I met there because of a spin and a pirouette and an impossible thing of an RX-7 looking like it was inside my car, but there is no touching damage, anything. He comes out to me after the race, and it was just an amazing drive between the two of us. We became friends. I met Tyler because of him. And then Evan was racing with Tyler, so that's how I got the tie-in to Evan. And some of the other guys, I think there's a few of them probably watching from the Fort Wayne area. Kip Mitchell is one of the other guys that's raced with Tyler in the past, and he's driven for me now as well. So it's just been a blast getting to have so much fun racing with all these like-minded people and spending time with a bunch of friends in the pits.
All right, so it's just between you and me, Ben. If you get beat by a driver on another team, do you try to poach that driver from that team?
Never.
Yes. That's the best no I've ever seen in my life.
Troy sent me a gentleman who ended up being my sponsor, and he got really angry with me because that sponsor had deep pockets, and he he sent him to me because he didn't seem like the guy was at the level that he wanted for his car, and that was funny. That was the only one I ever scored.
All right.
So
a team that will remain nameless, Money Shift, is asking me to ask you to tell the Zema story.
I was there for that. Yes. Tell us about the Zema.
We survived. That's what it is.
That didn't cure Evan.
Right. And I think it did. He was fine afterwards. So, just with the whole friends thing, it end up through the years have just ended up being close proximity to Money Shift out on track.
Mm-hmm.
It's pace of cars and everything. It's like we always end up sort of being there, get to meet them, and it's like, hey, these guys are pretty cool. I don't mind hanging out with them, whatever. So, I think Kevin got word that my birthday was the same weekend as Nelson's one year. So as a nice gesture of a birthday gift, he brings me a bag full of beers and stuff because I generally like really good beers and all that. And there were a couple good ones in there, but the top of it was like some Miller Lite and some Bud, some like whatever the fruity frizzy drinks are,
Bartles and James,
Truly and whatnot, and a bottle of Zima. And I'm like, Zima's not been around for a while. I'm not gonna drink that right now. It was sort of like, and kind of like, that's a joke, it was just one we had in the fridge that I threw in, whatever. I guess apparently this weekend he was telling me that a friend left that Zima in their fridge during a party some many years ago,
86
and
years
they just
ago?
had it ever since. So he gave it to me.
That's a lie.
So I came up with this brilliant plan that the first time we were both in impound that we'd share that Zima. They have been working so hard to get up there and so hard, and so this weekend it's like we're in 6th, and it was so close to being an impound, and we're right there, and I'm like, maybe there's a chance tomorrow, but they were on the podium, so I figured their podium trumped me being one spot away from impound. So I just cracked it open and poured some glasses, and we enjoyed it.
So how long ago was this?
That we drank it?
Yeah, well,
a couple days.
Like recently?
Yeah,
we enjoyed that at the race.
So
I was an impound, and they've got half of it finished already, and I was like, we let medical leave a few minutes ago. We probably shouldn't have done that.
I went to the Google, and the last time Zima was made was 2008.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are better people than I am.
Well, first it said a friend had a Zima. No friend ever had Zima.
It's the fine line between bravery and stupidity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
It brought back so many memories.
you were in college about that time, weren't you?
Yeah, I was somewhere in there.
High school?
Just out of college.
Okay. So that would have been your drink of choice, right? Being an Ivy League tour? No? Where'd you go?
Still no. Prefer the beers. Prefer the Guinness.
Where'd you go to? Yeah.
Michigan Tech.
Michigan Tech. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Michigan Tech's way up north.
Now, you work in the auto industry, or what do you do?
I do. I work for Nissan here in Detroit area. This is like going on 24 years now. I think I've been with them. So,
what do you do with it?
Been fun. Spreadsheet engineer. Mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer is the background. Do a lot of things with just packaging studies on the vehicle, and at least as of late. But one of the neat things that we are doing at Nissan is we've got this really cool program for basically anybody who works there. It's called the acceleration team, NAT, whatever. So a bunch of people get together. We work on cars. We go on autocross cars. We started doing some time trial and track night in America type stuff. It's a really cool opportunity, and I'm actually trying to get together something for the team
Nice.
so that we can go out there and get some Nissan product out on the track, just within our own group. So, well, TBD on when that's going to happen, but
Yeah, because
pushing for it.
I know I've worked with some of the Nissan folks with the contingency monies, and they were talking about something like that. Because Toyota had a group like that where they would come out and race a Avalon or whatever they were playing with at that moment in
Right.
time. And then Ford was going to do something like that, or they did at a couple of races. Of course, everybody starts this up, and then the company has some big issues and have to quit that program for that moment. But yeah, we've seen a bunch of manufacturers over the years come and play in Champ Car for a bit, or Chump Car at the time, and that's always fun to see. Yeah, so why aren't you running a Nissan instead of a BMW? Because
I do have a Datsun.
Okay.
I've got a 280Z that we ran for a year, but those engines ended up being fragile, difficult to find, especially running ones, and fairly expensive to prep and get going. And then within the struggles of that, my dad ended up buying Tubby Buttermore's old car because it was like, I really want to go racing, and the car's not really doing very good at racing. It keeps breaking. So we did that and really enjoyed the chassis. It was a lot of fun, and that car was super reliable. It unfortunately met its demise at Road America with an opening lap incident. But within that day, I had already secured another chassis, and that is how I came about and put together this current car.
Cool.
And this car has actually done quite well.
Yes. I went through, it was actually for, at work, we had a car show that I decided to bring the BMW out to, and, sort of show off the champ carness of it. I had my really cool big wing from Wingman Aero on there and all the other good little bits and pieces. But to make it a little more interesting, because this is going to be a very different vehicle than everything else is going to be at this car show, some cool classics and stuff like that. So wanted to sort of park in the corner and not make any of the other cars sick or anything. But I decided to put together a little sheet with sort of the rundown history of the car, and I updated that today. And since I built that car, we have raced 48 weekends and have put on a little over 20,000 race miles on that chassis.
Nice.
Wow.
And in that, get my numbers right on this one. We got 3 wins, 5 second places, 5 third places, and another 5 impound trips. So yeah, it's been pretty strong. And we've definitely had some issues with the car. We've gone through some motors. We've had some interesting failures along the way with a couple of hubs that have taken us out of contention in a couple key spots. But I don't know. I just try to do my best to keep up with the maintenance on it and make sure the car's prepped. And sometimes it's just a matter of making all the laps you can. You can make them clean, stay on track, stay out of trouble. Sometimes attrition helps the race come to you. I think Sunday is a really good example of that. Going from I hope we make a top 10 to getting a just barely third place finish.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun because we watched the standings throughout the day, and it's something so when I watch a race, I don't have the names of the teams. I only have their numbers. So some numbers, we know. We know 91 is the Corvette. We know 90 is our bank, and just these historical numbers. And we know your number, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but but we see these numbers on there, and I watch them. And you saw the big boys, the big bore cars doing quite well, and then they started getting a little less of them out there, and they start falling back. They had issues and stuff, and then there's the Salen's car, there's your car, and there's the Money Shift Racing guys, and it was going to be a fight, and it turned out it was, and it was a very entertaining race. And yeah, 662. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Normally 662. It's been 682 for this Midwest series, just because of the whole numbering things.
But yeah, it was fun watching. And what's good is that at Pitt, they have full camera coverage, so we get to actually watch it on TVs. So it's and some tracks we only see what you see in front of you, which could be just a straightaway or a row of trees with cars way down below you and you can't see them. So, but this one we could see all the cars, all the fun, all the mishaps, and that's for the most part that's fun. Now we did have a mishap this weekend. We had a pretty big wreck on Saturday. A Mustang goes, I think it was car 56, is going down into turn 16 and 17, hits his brakes, and the pin that holds the brakes together on the pedal popped out.
Oh.
And no brakes. And basically tries to bail out the car and hits the grass and kind of accelerates, I guess. It didn't slow down. And hits another car. And big impact, so big that it popped the windshield out of the Mustang, it twisted the cage around in it. The BMW, it popped. You know how we require the batteries to be bolted down and strapped down and stuff. The battery actually squeezed out of its holder. Two of them, the case it was in and the brackets. It had two brackets on it, and it just squeezed out of that. It was such a big hit. But yeah, so it's one of those things, like everything did what it did to protect the drivers. And but yeah, that was a scary incident. Watching it happen live and then watching it over and over again in the recording as we're trying to figure out what the heck happened.
Yeah.
But basically, it was the pin that you put between the slave cylinder or master cylinder. Yeah, master cylinder and the pedal. And yeah, that really sucked.
Yeah, I bet. There's at least a handful of people, couple handsful of people who are watching who have not hit the like button. Smash that like button. That's what the kids say. Subscribe and hit the alarm bell as well so you know when we're doing our thing. What's up next, Ben, for you guys and your team?
Pitt Race was being able to end the season on a really high note of snagging that third place in the race on Sunday and pulling off the second in the Midwest Championship was a really good way to end the year. I'll go through the car this winter. Luckily, I don't have to do anything as far as repairs go, which is really nice this year. But I'll still probably end up taking the whole car apart. There's a few things that need to be serviced. Just refresh it all, make sure it's ready to go for next season, and we'll be as a team sitting down and try to figure out which of my drivers that can do which races and figure out which ones we're going to do. Probably stay fairly local. I might decide to go do a longer trip somewhere. Let's see how the whole year's schedule goes, but yeah, looking forward to what the racing is going to hold for next year as well.
So are any of the rules next year going to affect your car? The rule changes?
Not completely sure. I went through them pretty quick already, but still wanted to concentrate on what we had going on for the rest of this year. And I did have a few extra work items on the car with related to engines at the end of the season here. So I haven't really concentrated on rules for next year yet. But that's definitely a big part of prep for the next year is just going through and making sure I'm still in compliance everywhere, as well as seeing if there's any opportunities that I have with any of the changes.
So you've had this car for a long time. You went through the list of all the numbers, which are very impressive. And you're in your off season now. So this actually is a good time to ask the question. Do you have a list of annual things you change in the off season every year, or do you mileage out the particular parts throughout the car and say, okay, at 2,000 race miles I'm going to switch this, at 5,000 race miles I'm going to switch that? How do you work that PM, that preventative maintenance?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
There are some things that I will just go ahead and refresh for the year, even though maybe it's not timed out, but it just starting the year with a fresh car, I'd much rather do. And so some of the longer wear items that cost less, those just get replaced at the start of the year. But a lot of the other ones, yeah, definitely there is hours on them that
Hours,
you'll
okay.
go through. And most of those hours end up coming from getting a failure and looking back at how
Yep.
long it's been on the car, and then backing that up a little bit, and then if another failure happens within that time frame, we adjust a little bit there as well. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with hubs because I've broken a few of those now. This last one was only 45 hours, which doesn't really make sense. So I think there's some other things that are maybe going on with that. But yeah, like the differential, it's the clutch type limited slip. So those discs wear. It's one where it probably could have swapped it out for Pitt Race, but it was still mostly working properly. So I decided to wait on that one. Just a little extra wheel spin isn't too bad, but that's one of those that's usually a yearly thing.
Got it.
Just putting new wear discs in, and some of the other ones, bigger items. The engines. The one that I pulled out of the car earlier this year before Mid Ohio had a couple of years of racing on it, and was an engine that we put together overnight during one of the race weekends out at Gingerman. And that sort of a mix of somewhat built, just fresh bearings and rings on the bottom end, and had a race on it. And then that was pulled out for a different issue, and then a junkyard head. And it lasted for pretty good for a couple years, but that one was getting a little tired. So figure a couple years on an engine, a couple hours on brake pads and whatever. So
Yeah, I've had the chance to help some newbies along the way, and I always tell them the most important go fast item you can buy for your car is a $3 notebook and a box of pencils and pens.
Yeah.
And just
the best way to do well in a race is to be able to finish it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So figuring out what you need to do that's within the rules still, to be able to make a car last and keep it reliable.
Yep.
And some of that is just the frequent replacement of parts.
Yep.
It can cost a little bit of money to replace parts, but a part breaking can end up costing way more, because sometimes it's not just a broken tie rod. Broken tie rod can lead to a car in a wall or a wheel falling off, whatever. So and yeah, it's way more fun to be able to drive the car onto the trailer at the end of the race weekend than it is to try to figure out how you're going to get it back out of the trailer once you get home.
Well, and you're also, people are paying you to bring a car to the track to be able to go racing. So, that's important to make sure that those folks get the stints that they've may have come all the way from. You got people come from Seattle and Denver. If they're going to spend all of that money to get to a race, you want to make sure that you've got a car that, if all goes well, will get them to the end and get them the stints that they traveled that distance for, which
absolutely.
That's why people want to come and race with you, because you got a car that's probably going to get to the finish line. So
Ben, you do the one lap.
Yep.
Now, when I remember the one lap was starting up, they were pretty much endurance race. It was an endurance.
You remember when the one lap started? You're old.
Yeah, I know. It's not the cannonball one,
Okay.
but the one lap. But it was more of an endurance event. I don't know if it's still like that now, but doing the one lap, is a lot of that stuff applied to Champ Car or vice versa?
It's the week is a real endurance type thing, because we're putting on a lot of miles. It's a 1 week trip, and we are hitting different racetracks every single day. It'll be 4,500 miles over the course of the week. We've been, we always start in South Bend at Tire Rack facility right there. So we get to play on their skid pad with it all soaked down the first day, and then with it's dry as long as it's not raining on the last day. We've been to Sebring, we've been to Daytona, we've been to tracks in Texas, and we've been out to Miller Motorsports in Utah. We've gone a lot of places. So the on-track stuff is very different. It's real quick. It's getting out there. You have a recon lap, and then a standing start, 3 flying laps, and then you're done for the session. And you do it again in the afternoon and take off. So, but then you got anywhere between a couple 100 miles and 900 miles to drive. And it's in the same car. You're no trailering of cars in between. So it's the endurance aspect of you're going to be on the road a long time. You need to be able to stay aware of everything while you're on public roads so you can drive safely. And then at the same time, I think one of the things that helps in the Champ Car side of stuff is, we get to these tracks, and for most people doing one lap, that's the first time they get to see the track. And, depending what the conditions are, it could be a track that you know really well, but it's a different condition you're used to. You have an opportunity to walk the track, and then you have one recon lap to learn it. So being able to very quickly get a feel for what the course is going to be like, and that enables you to go fast. So that can translate back to like the incident on Sunday with the car losing the oil pan and all that oil. It's like that corner suddenly became very, very different, as the normal line through there would have been driving right over the worst of it.
Yeah.
So it was like seeing that and be like recognizing that's going to be a change in grip. I need to change the line through here. What's the best way to do that? And sort of like pick and choose what's going to be the fastest way through that corner that doesn't upset the next one. So
Yeah. What do you think the schedule's going to be for you next year?
Definitely want to hit Gingerman. Gingerman's it's the closest track, and it races so incredibly well, and more people should come out to that one. It is a really fun place.
So it was suggested that we make Gingerman. We have not decided yet, by the way, but it was suggested that we make Gingerman the national championship. What that I found that really interesting. A smaller track, but very challenging. What do you think?
That would be very interesting.
It's we still haven't decided. We have some ideas. We've taken.
I like my odds there.
Oh. That's your home track too, right?
That's definitely the track that we've done best at. So, and I would absolutely love it if it was one that was nice and close.
Yeah.
Last year at NCM, that was one of the hubs that I broke, like lap 6 or whatever into the race. So that's a long tow for that type of thing. But that would be an interesting way to go. So
yeah, it's people are saying that sounds really good, but we can't. We're not doing. We had discussed doing it at Watkins Glen, but they didn't seem to doing a 24 there. Sorry, that was a 24-hour championship. So we discussed doing it there, and that was not something they wanted to do. And I think it had to do with the dangerousness of it. But so we're still looking. We may bring another track out of retirement and do it there. But Gingerman seemed pretty interesting. It's not a super high speed track, but it has a high speed section. Heavy braking, high G forces. That back corner, the new part of the track back there.
Yeah.
That's so my only experience is a pace car trying to catch. I believe it was you. Was that you leading the race that I tried to catch, and you didn't know that we were trying to catch you? I was in the Spider. Can't remember.
Yeah, that was my driver. It was not me in the car, but I mean that was hey, it's gonna go full course caution. It's like trying to make up a lap.
Yeah, no
like,
kidding.
Oh, wait, we're winning. Shoot.
I'd never been on the track at speed, and I was in a brand new car I just picked up, and I think the tires were set to like 50 psi or something, and they were 60 when I was going around the corners, and I could not do it, but it was pretty funny. But I think that would be an interesting track. Somebody said, can we handle that many cars? 75 cars? Yeah, we could do it.
That pit lane would be tough.
It would be tight.
That many.
It'd be tight, but nice facility, nice hotels, and it's a great place to go. You got the ocean near you, or is that a big lake?
It's a lake.
Big lake.
Yeah.
It's a great place by a great area.
Yeah, it'd be fun. But like I said, we haven't picked a place yet. We're just taking ideas, talking to people, seeing what they think, and I kind of like that idea. It's still centralized. It's not bad on tires, so that would be kind of cool. And of course, I love the Park Fermés, but there's others that don't. They like to have two separate races, so we don't know. It ultimately it'll come down to Chelsea and Mike and me, and we'll figure out what we want to do and where we're going to do it. But just some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good weekend for you, and
Thank you.
congratulations on the championship. The little thing I put together to try to help boost those races up, and it seemed to have worked pretty well.
Nice.
You got the what I thought was the coolest trophy, Game of
Thrones one.
Yeah. The Thrones, and
Yeah.
I have an owie on my finger from that thing. It actually it poked a hole in it, and it bled out pretty good. My bathroom Friday night looked like a murder scene. Yeah, pulled the Band-Aid off, and a core came out. So somewhere on there's a core sampler. So it's it's a pretty cool trophy. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right. Anything else, Brian?
Yeah, before we let you go, anybody you want to thank? Sponsors, friends, family?
Oh, I gotta thank my whole family for supporting all this stuff and really for them to getting me into all of this. The countless friends that I've had and made along the way. You guys are all great. Thank you so much, especially everybody that's been able to race with me this year and help get this little guy over here. That was pretty awesome. Had a number of people help out with engine swaps at the track. That was really cool. Special shout out to Steve from North by Northeast because it was their engine that we yanked out of the back of their pickup truck that got me through Mid-Ohio. If it wasn't for those guys pulling through and let me use their engine for the weekend, would not have been able to make it through to get the points necessary for that championship thing there. So, Money Shift guys, they've always been around and helping out so much. So it's been a great year, a lot of fun doing all this stuff. I'm looking forward to next year and all the races that we can do. So
awesome. Ben, thanks. Appreciate you joining us for the show tonight.
All right, thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
All right, cool.
Thanks, man. All right, Brian, you just got back from a running off or something. I don't know what.
Yeah,
it was.
one of those things.
So we had a big incident. You guys had a couple of big incidents. I know nobody really wants to talk about that, but big incidents at track. That's something that we don't like to hear. We don't like to see, but we do like to see the safety equipment doing what it's supposed to do. And hopefully on your side, on the SCCA side of stuff, their stuff worked. But I know on our side it did. Our drivers turned out well. We did have one have to, get looked at a little bit. But, it was good. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
and
it's
oil down.
It's one of those things where, you never want to see anybody hurt. But we do a thing that's not 100% safe.
Yeah.
Then again, walking down the street, you can twist an ankle and split your leg into 75 pieces. I've seen that happen.
In your driveway, you could fall down and break your rib.
There you go. But it looks like everybody involved is gonna recover, and so that's a good thing. And hopefully they'll all want to come back out, do it some more. So, but 25, 26 national champions crowned. And at Road America, and it was the weather in Wisconsin was unbelievably spectacular for the week. October,
it's gonna snow for our guys.
Yeah, well, October in Wisconsin can go one of about 18 different ways.
Yeah,
and yeah, it was mild temperature, a little windy on a couple of days. That was our biggest thing. On Sunday, we had people overheating because they were getting leaves up inside of their radiators, as they like to see on the other side of the pond. So that was a little bit of an issue, some heating issues, but yeah, weather was spectacular, and of course, this is an event where, just like you guys, it's a meeting of 3,000 friends between drivers and crews and workers, and I the stuff that happens at the end of the day after the final checkered flag falls is almost as much fun and almost as important to many of us as all of the stuff that happens on the racetrack. So it was good. It was a good week.
I'm gonna have to get up to one of those one day.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
I'll put you to work next year. You come on up. I'll put you to work.
We'll do that.
All right. All right.
do that. But yeah, we're up at our next race is Road America here
Yep.
in a week and a half. It's going to be a fun time. I'll be watching it via ChampCar.Live. Paulie and Tiffany will be running that show, I believe, and I'm going to be sitting, in a room watching the race.
No, you're not.
Well,
if you are, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
You will be in trouble.
My son has a week and a half of freedom.
Ah,
So-
yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I,
So-
I was there for a week, and I managed to limit myself to 6 bratwurst in the week.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
well, we went to, at Pitt. I went to one of the best Mexican restaurants I've been to
In
a
Pitt?
very long time. Who knew? The
Who
food
knew?
was so good.
there's good Polish
And,
food in that area.
There was. We went to another restaurant next to the hotel at Park View or Park something, and we ate, it was so good. We ate there twice.
Nice. I love that.
So yeah, it was good.
I also had fish fry twice in Wisconsin.
That would be nice.
Mm.
Yeah, we were somewhere. We were in the middle. I think because of the roads being closed because of the storms and
Right.
damage done in North Carolina. Ray and I kind of had to. We went some back roads and stuff, and we ended up going through a town, and I saw a sign that said "fresh seafood."
Came in yesterday.
Just like, yeah, where the heck do they get seafood here fresh? Because we are in the Appalachians.
Yeah.
Or however
Yeah.
you pronounce it. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So
All jokes aside, I hope all the Champ Car family made it through Helene okay.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I know that there's lots of teams based in Florida that are kind of being aimed at by Milton. And
We have quite a big crew in Tampa,
Yeah.
and that's hopefully they do well. I know that we may have had a few teams affected in the North Carolina one.
right.
I know that we have. I've seen posts from some of our teams out there helping deliver stuff. I know Ray Frank was doing something earlier before we went off to Pitt. I saw NLS doing some stuff.
Yep.
They're all from. I think they're west or east of the affected area, but not far.
Yep.
So I know they were doing stuff, and pretty certain most people in Mooresville are doing something.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say I'm always proud of our racing family, right from the Pro Series guys down to all of the stuff that we do. That we like to come together, and I mean not like to, but we do come together when we have to make sure that our neighbors are taken care of, both racing neighbors and non-racing neighbors. And it's been a pretty impressive response from the motorsports community. So let's hope that everything goes well with this next storm, and everyone can show up at a racetrack soon and enjoy.
I know Chelsea. I talked to Chelsea today. She was heading down to Petit Le Mans to work,
Yep.
and Le Mans. Did I say Le Mans? I've been
You
watching-
did Lamond, like Greg
Dude,
Lamond?
Yeah, Greg. So Petit
Petit
Le Mans
Le Mans.
on a little bicycle.
Le Mans.
Petit Le Mans. Yeah, she's going down for that. And I saw earlier that Atlanta Motorsports or Atlanta Speedway had opened up their
Yeah.
track for evacuees
Yep.
to take their campers and hang out there. So, look around if you're down there and you need someplace to go. Please look at some of the local racetracks. I know that Sebring's kind of in the path. I sure hope nothing happens. We do have an event coming up at the end of the year, but we'll be watching that closely.
Yeah, if I was trying to escape Milton, probably Sebring would not be the place I'd be going to.
I'd go high ground,
Yeah.
and dig a hole.
Head up to Florida or up to North Florida.
Yeah, my kids live in Jacksonville, so just north of Jacksonville. So I'm kind of worried about them. They're like, nothing. It's all right. We're not in the path, but things change quick. So I'm worried about that. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week. So if you're in those areas, reach out if you need something, and we'll try to connect you with some folks or try to help you.
Yep.
So all right,
Anything else?
back to you, Brian.
All right, well, that is going to do it for another episode of Inside Champ Car. If you like what you see and like what you heard, make sure that you get on the Champ Car Facebook page. You can leave a message there. You can also... Why did I hit that button, Bill? I don't know. I was ready to go too quickly here. Check out the Champ Car Facebook page. Also subscribe to the Champ Car Live channel and the Racing Wire Podcast Network so you won't miss any episodes. Follow us on social media and make sure you guys leave messages and leave notes for us. We love to read those. If you have a new episode every week, he's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Belansky. Have yourself a great week. Stay safe.
Wait, real quick.
Oh.
You got to watch next week's show.
Okay.
You got to watch. We have some big announcements coming up. So, all right. Thanks, guys.
I'll make sure I'm watching. We'll be there.
Yep, perfect. So.
Stay safe. Go play with cars.